Hello, hello. Welcome to day 2 of Unleashed with Patty. Say hi as you're popping on. For those of you who know me, hello, welcome back. For those of you who have not yet met me, this is your first time, welcome. I'm Patty Keating. My company is The Entrepreneur Unleashed, and I help women express who they are through their messaging, through their business, do the things that they love, and make money. So I'm so glad you're here. If you were here yesterday, welcome back. If you are new today, welcome. Yesterday, we talked about clean language and why people might not understand what you do if you don't drill down and be specific. And we talked about how to make your message clearer, and that's important and it's good. But today we're going to go a little bit deeper. There's a lot more to this. Today we're going to talk about what you really came here to say, not your elevator pitch, not your I help so and so statement, but the real thing. The thing that had you start your business, the thing that maybe you've been thinking about saying or doing or launching, but maybe you haven't done it yet. The thing you've been feeling, that message that keeps coming up for you that maybe you haven't fully expressed yet. So before we dive in, drop a hello in the comments. Let me know you're here. Tell me where you're joining from and tell us what you do. I'm going to give you a minute to do that, and I'm going to get a couple things set up here, make sure that I can see who's coming on in the comments. And then I have a lot to share with you today. We're going to talk about who you are, what makes you special. We're going to talk about AI and how you can use AI to help really clarify your own understanding of what you want to say and what you're here to do. It's really good stuff. So let me just check on hold on just a second while I check, zoom in on my face, while I check on the phone here and get set up. Okay. I think we're good to go. Yes. Okay, great. All right. Okay, so here's what I want to say first of all. I think a lot of us are walking around with something we really want to say, something that we believe, and maybe something we've learned or something we've experienced, but we're not really saying it, not fully. We're staying a little bit safe. Like, what do other people say about this? And what do people believe about this? So it becomes this polished version, the version that we think people maybe want to hear. But it's not the real thing. And I'm not judging that. I think we all do that. I've been there. I spent years saying what I thought I was supposed to say, trying to figure it out. As a coach, I said what coaches are supposed to say. I took a lot of courses and studied, and I ended up sounding like everyone else in the industry. And you know what happened? Nothing, not really. I didn't have the consistent clients. I didn't make the impact I wanted. And it was because I wasn't actually saying anything meaningful. It was more like a performance. And back when I started, like, being a life coach was a novelty. I had to explain that. So it was a lot easier then. But as the market matured and more people came in, we couldn't just talk about, I help you get what you want, right? And so I went down this rabbit hole of learning how to communicate from a format, from something I was being taught. But there was this version of me that people just needed to hear. So when I would go and speak, I spoke a lot and still do, but I spoke a lot growing my business. I would just unleash and I wouldn't have a script. I would coach people live. I would talk about what I do. I would share from my heart and people would hire me. But when I came online, for some reason, I felt like I couldn't be that free. I think part of it is because in a room with other people, you have more connection with them. You can ask them questions. You can kind of craft what they need and help them out. But when you're just talking, to a camera, it's not always as easy. So I began to think about, okay, how am I going to do this? And I went through all of these different ways of communicating, but there was still this version of me that when I speak from my heart and when I talk to people, they can feel it and they know she's the right person for me, or they know she's not the person for me. And that's perfect because we don't want clients that aren't a good fit. We want those clients that you just click with and things happen and they grow and they get results. So I could feel that I really wasn't fully there yet. I wasn't fully expressing myself. And the funny thing is, in this work around messaging and expressing yourself, I use core values. So the first thing we do in my program, Express, actually the first thing I do with any client I've ever coached over the last 2 decades, I can't believe it, is their E-code session, which is an acronym, and the C in the word code stands for core values. And so we go deep into who they are, and I show them how their top core values are the platform that they stand on. And that's what we build their messaging on. So for me, the Entrepreneur Unleashed, my top 2 core values are self-expression and freedom. So I help people express themselves and create freedom. So that's where the name Expressed came from, right? It's my core, one of my top 2 core values. And so in this program, we do that. We do a deep dive into you and we look at your entire E-code. So there's more to it. There's your life purpose numerology. There's, that's the D for destiny. The O is opportunities, the experience you have and what you can do with it now. And then the E, I did those out of order, but you get it. The E is your energy. And we use your Enneagram to find out, how do you express yourself naturally? Because when you can communicate from a natural place, you can connect more easily. People can really feel you. So that's the E-code, and that's the premise of everything in your business. And that's why I've been able to have a sustainable business for 2 decades, because I didn't try to force things and, do things that weren't really me. Even though my messaging wasn't, as on point as I would have liked it to be, I still stayed true to freedom and self-expression. And so when you understand that, here's where it gets really fun now, because what we do is we take the E-code, your E-code, and we feed it through my E-code prompt series into AI. And it comes back and it uses words that you might not have thought of, and it uses examples and it shows you your messaging. And I'm not saying it's copy and paste. What I'm saying is it's a great resource for you to look deeply at who you are and who you connect with and be able to communicate with them so that they understand you and you feel understood. Does that make sense? I read a while ago that around 87% of entrepreneurs feel like they're not being authentic in their marketing. That's why I work with personal brands, people who really want that authenticity in their marketing. But think about that 87%. Now, not all entrepreneurs have a personal brand, right? So they might be selling a tool or a widget or, food or something that they don't need to be authentic about. They love the product. It's about the product or someone else's service. But when you are a coach, a consultant, a practitioner, a service professional with years of experience, and you are sharing who you are and what you do, it's important that you feel like you're being authentic. It's important because you'll get the right match in your clients. And it's important because you'll feel really good about what you're saying. When you feel good about what you're saying, people can feel it, and this whole cascade of events begins to happen. That number, 87%, means that almost 9 out of 10 people feel like they're performing instead of expressing. And that's exhausting, performing all the time. But here's another interesting part of that study. Some people were asked if they thought other entrepreneurs were being authentic, and most of them said yes. So we think we're performing, but everybody else is being real. But the truth is, most of us, 87%, are performing. We're all doing it. And we can feel it when we're doing it. And when you might think somebody's really on point with their message, but you don't buy from them. Why is that? It just really didn't resonate that deeply. And so, we say, yeah, she does this thing, it's really cool, but we might not buy from that person. It didn't resonate. So drop a yes in the comments if you've ever felt that, like you're performing instead of expressing. And then, for me, it doesn't feel that good. It just does not feel that great. I'm checking to see. I don't know if this is live in my group. It should be. I shared it, but I think what I have to do, just checking for comments. If you guys are here, I want to be able to see your comments. And if you're watching the replay, comment, and I'll come back and, there we go. Now I can start to see in the group. Okay, we've got multiple devices going over here. So does that make sense? Have you ever felt that? Like, I wish I could just say this, or I had to memorize my script and then I messed up a line, or I was doing my presentation and this didn't go right. But when you really are sharing the truth of who you are, and when you've gotten the information that I'm talking about from these AI prompts, and you've gone deep into your values, your opportunities, your life purpose numerology, your Enneagram personality style, like the combination of those will blow your mind when you see them. So I create those, I call them my unleashed archetypes, and each person has their own unique combination. So when you're speaking from there, like I do speak on stage, and there's been many times I have created a performance, created my PowerPoint, had, all the right font, the right colors, like the pauses, the clicker was working, all the things. And it's exhausting. And there's been a few times where I just stopped until I totally stopped doing it. But when I would just stop the presentation and engage with the audience. And those talks created the best outcome. Those talks are the ones where people would line up to talk with me, line up to work with me. Closing clients just all lined up. Tell me about your services. Because they could feel me and the desire to help them and the desire to answer their questions. And once I started answering questions, and by the way, this is why coaching live is so powerful. If you're a coach, I highly recommend it. Most people are afraid to do it because you can't prepare for it. You just coach and we see how it goes. But you know what happens when you do that? The audience leans in. There's just something about watching a person be coached live. And the audience is like, what's going to happen? And the person's like, what's going to happen? And the coach is, what's going to happen? And then magic is what happens. That's what happens with coaching. And then the audience sees the person being coached have this breakthrough or realization, or maybe even stay a little more confused, but they're like processing. And they think, I want that. I want that. And this is what I mean about being real and understanding the true value you have, not the scripted value. Okay, so here's what I want to offer you today. Hi, Amy. I see a comment popped up. Thank you so much for saying that you see me. I'm really glad. Okay, so here's what I want to offer you today. What if you have something unique to say that the world needs to hear? That there are people searching for the thing that you want to say, or that's in your heart that maybe you're just not sure if you should say or how to say it. What if the reason you're not getting the clients you want, maybe into your offer or at the price point you want, or maybe you're not even really making offers because you're like, I don't know, when I talk, people don't understand what I'm saying, or I've taken these courses and they want me to put it this way, but I can never remember it, right? Like all these things. But what if it's that you just haven't said the real thing yet? What if you've just been waiting and kind of looking like, how do I share this? How do I share what I actually believe? Is it okay to share what I actually believe? It makes you a little warm, right? When you start sharing what you believe, because you're being real. But here's the thing, being real is the experience of it is transformational. I pinned a video on my Facebook profile today of one of my clients. She's been with me on and off for 10, 12 years, maybe, talking about, the impact of knowing who she is and what she can give to the world, and how not only did it change her business, it completely changed her life. And that's what happens, because when you're being real, you feel everything deeper. So yeah, you're going to get a little hot maybe sometimes. I know I do before I go live. It's like, oh my gosh. But it's because you're feeling the truth of you and you're sharing your truth and you're being witnessed, right? And so that's okay, because the other thing that happens is the right people come to you and your opportunities expand. Everything expands when you're real, because the truth shows you see things differently. People see you differently. So yeah, what if it's just that maybe you haven't said that real thing yet? What if you were waiting for permission or clarity or whatever we tell ourselves, right? We tell ourselves all these things. And what if you're just kind of holding back because you're worried about maybe what will people think, or maybe I won't sound smart enough if I just start talking. Maybe I'll stumble over my words, right? Or, maybe I won't sound like I'm qualified. Or what if, nobody even cares what I think? All those things in our mind, those gremlins that pop in, right? What if all of that's just noise? And what if it is your mind's way of trying to create safety for you? Because our mind is noisy, but it doesn't always tell you the truth. I wrote a post the other day. Don't believe everything you think, right? Because our mind is so busy telling us what's happening, what's going on. But is it the truth? Is it really the truth? I mean, think about it. Where have you stopped yourself before and told yourself something like, well, I'm just not ready for that. I probably need to get another certification, right? But what if you stopped and just said, is that really true? Like, has anybody else ever done what I want to do without that certification? And if they have, it invalidates the reasoning that I'm using, because now it's not true. So then, if you're willing to stay in that discomfort for a minute, what really is true? Well, if you look at it, usually what's really true is we want to be witnessed, we want to be seen, but we also fear it, because there's no plan B when you're real. Like, you say the things, you put the offers, you talk, you speak, about what you do, and nobody wants it. Then what? But that's just not true. You don't have this desire to serve people. You don't have this ability to help people without the people wanting it. Everything comes in full quantums. There cannot be a desire without the opportunity. The problem is the opportunity can't find you because you're not sharing the desire. So today I'm giving you permission to say what you actually think, permission to share what you actually believe, permission to stop shrinking and start expressing yourself fully. That's what Express is about. So if you haven't signed up for Express, it's $197. We're going to work for 30 days together, 4 live Zoom trainings, and daily-ish. Every couple days, I'm going to give you a prompt inside of Telegram. I'm going to take you all through your own e-code. So we're going to go deep into what are your core values? What are the opportunities that you have based on your experience and based on what the market's looking for right now? What is your life purpose numerology? I am not a numerologist, but I'll tell you what, when my coach way back in like 2 decades ago showed me a book by Dan Millman about your life purpose numerology, it blew my mind. It felt so big and so right and so scary. Anyway, so I just use that. And then we're going to do a session on your Enneagram. We're going to get all those done. And then we're going to bring them together. And I'm going to take you through a process with AI that's going to create your unleashed archetype. And then we're going to talk about messaging. And then I'll be giving you prompts and helping you come up with ideas, because you can know all this stuff, but then what makes it fun? Fun is also one of my core values. So what if you had fun doing your messaging? What if you felt excited when you woke up and thought about posting? We're going to make all that happen with these different prompts inside of these 30 days we'll have together. So I'm giving you permission to say what you actually think, permission to share what you actually believe, permission to not shrink if you are, and really fully express yourself. Because when you express yourself, the clients come. Not because you marketed better, but because you finally let people see you. When you stop performing, the right people will show up. The ones who get you, they understand you. The ones who are meant to work with you. You'll hear things like this. I hear this consistently. I don't know, there was just something about you. So when you share your truth, your business just becomes inevitable. Hi, Michelle. I'm so glad you're looking forward to it. I can't wait. Your business, it becomes inevitable because you're not trying to be anyone else anymore. You're just being you. And you're the only you. So that's good news. I'm not going to say there's no competition, because there's other people who maybe create the same outcomes you do, but not the way you do. We're going to talk about all that. And that's what people are hungry for. Someone who understands them, someone that they can trust, that they resonate with, that they feel a connection to. And there's actually research on this. A study from Harvard Business School found that authenticity in business increases trust by something like 62%. That's huge. And, we need that more now than ever. Our trust factor is low. So how can you, we used to say, how can you get people to trust you? Well, do value-based content, put out value. That's when, all of the, the lead magnets came out and all of that, right? And that was true then because there was less information in the market and people could get a taste of what you do. But now that's just gone kind of crazy, right? And people just aren't feeling like it's safe to trust. But the Harvard Business School study said that authenticity in business increases trust by 62%. People can feel when you're being real, and they trust you more when you're real. But most of us are scared of being judged. And so we hide. And believe me, I've done a lot of personal development work, and actually I'm a personal development coach, right? That's what I'm a trained life coach in energy from IPEC. And I have a marketing degree, so I understand business. But here's the thing. You know, I have gone through so much. I'm like, which story do I want to share? So much personal development. And here's what I want you to know. I learned a tool. It's called pattern language from Thomas Leonard, who actually is the founder of the coaching industry. He started the ICF. He started Coachville. He started Coach U, I think. And he had this tool called pattern language. And so I went deep into my patterns, and I found that one of my biggest patterns that held me back is called stay hidden. So what I'm talking with you about, I have lived through, like stay hidden. And I learned, and we're going to talk about this in Express, but I learned how to like create two different patterns. Not to annihilate stay hidden and say that's wrong, you need to stop doing that. Just identify it and understand it. And so I made this whole thing that we'll go deeper into it. But bottom line, what happens is you look at like, what are the references that I accumulated in order to create this stay hidden pattern? And then you can start to see, oh, when I'm in this kind of situation, I want to hide. And all of a sudden you're looking at yourself from a meta view instead of being in the experience. And then you could have a choice. So my new pattern that I created, that's what I called my old pattern, stay hidden. And then I created a new pattern called, guess what? Full self-expression. So then I started accumulating references, moments in time when I would fully express myself and something good would happen. And you put them all in this, you make a circle and you create this little thing, like these are my patterns, and you put all these references in there. And then you get to be at choice. So it's not that you have to get rid of stay hidden. There's times stay hidden is totally appropriate for me, and I choose it. It doesn't dominate me. I'm not in it. I'm in choice, and that's completely different. So what I was saying is we slip into performance because we have this fear that if we're real, we'll be judged. And that's what triggers stay hidden. So I think a lot of us have that at some level. I had it full on, like number one. And then we start wanting to sound safe, and we wonder why we're not connecting with people. Because we're doing all the things. We're putting ourselves out there. We're making offers. We're sending emails. We're attending events. Whatever it is. When I first started, I thought I had to sound a certain way. And I thought I had to be professional. And I listened to the industry. The industry was still fairly young. But I followed the I help insert who do what so they can get what. And I'm not saying we still use that. I mean, if you're communicating, you do want to have some of that in there, but it's just been so overused. It's a formula that everyone teaches. And have you ever met someone and you're like, hey, and you're talking and you're like, what do you do? And all of a sudden their energy changes. You were chatting and now they're performing. I help senior executives, right? Like, oh, where'd you go? I just lost you. I'm not connected with you anymore. That's formulaic communication. And so I did that and I sounded fine. I was professional, I was polished, and I was competent. But I didn't feel good about it. And it wasn't really me. I'm fun and spontaneous. I love coaching people in the moment, finding an opportunity where you can really change someone's life and going with it, right? And you can't do that with a script. So I was frustrated because I knew I could help more people. And I knew I had something really valuable. I have a really great ear listening to people, and I can see their like huge potential. I can see it, especially if I've done their e-code with them. It's like, whoa. And so that wasn't being expressed because my messaging wasn't landing. I remember at one point reading my About Me page and going, who is that person on my website? That's not me. That is not me. That's the professional version. And, my whole brand is around unleashing. I mean, not around like polished. This is not the entrepreneur polished. It's the entrepreneur unleashed. So I needed to unleash. I needed to do some unleashing of these beliefs that I had. 10, 15, when I started my business, it was 20 years ago. It was different. People weren't as real back then. But even back then, my tagline from the beginning was be real, take a stand, change lives. And I think I wrote that tagline for me because I had to go through the process myself. I knew that was what I wanted to teach people. I wanted people to understand how beautiful and potent and powerful they are. Anyway, one day I was talking with one of my friends, and she asked me like, so what, I think we were at a conference. I remember sitting we were out to lunch, and I'm pretty sure we were at a conference, and she was asking me, a peer, what I was working on. And I just started talking, and I started sharing my heart, the things that I'm telling you. And what I really believe and why it's really important to me. And, we were kind of working on our business together. And then I said, but, I can't say that because it's too personal. And she stopped and she was like, say that. That's exactly what people want to hear. And I was like, oh gosh, I've been so busy trying to sound the way I thought I needed to that I forgot to sound like me. So talking with my friend, my peer, like brought that out. And this is what I'm talking about with references, just a little side note. And I put that in a reference in my full self-expression pattern. See, because I still remember it. It helped to build a case. It's like building a case for yourself, right? And so I started saying the real thing and the real version and the truth about what was happening for me at that time of my life. Just like now I talk about this time of my life. And people really started responding. Not everyone, but the right people. Michelle's laughing. Okay, I think you're relating to this story I'm telling. Yes. But not everyone, but the people who were meant to work with me, I will never forget. This is another reference I put in my full self-expression pattern. I sponsored a party at Podcast Movement. It was the first year of Podcast Movement, and I sponsored the party, which gave me the opportunity to do a breakout session. And I think there were 60, 70 people in my breakout, and I had worked on my talk. This is one of those talks. I paid a coach to help me. And like just a few minutes in, and I was feeling uncomfortable because the audience kept like raising their hands. They'd have questions about what I was teaching. And I would stay on topic. And I was just like, forget it. Can I get some mics? And the crew in the back was like, no, we're not, that's not what we're doing. And I was like, we need some mics. These guys have questions. And I just started answering their questions and talking to them like I'm talking to you right now. And I had a whole offer. I just stopped my PowerPoint. And at the end, we had like 2 minutes left. And I was like, I didn't have the time to tell you anything about what I do or, how you could get more from me. But if you're interested in that, I feel like we got a lot done today. We got your questions answered, and I have a booth outside. You can come talk with me there. And I was like, wow, I really bombed that. My coach is going to kill me. Oh, I walked out the door and I walked over to my booth, and the entire room lined up. And then other people were like, what's going on over there? And there was just a line. The line was so long down the hall, around the corner. And I always remember this one woman. She stood in line for probably 35 minutes. And she walked up to me and she had her American Express card out. And she said, she leaned in and she said, whatever your highest level program is, sign me up. It was a $25,000 program. She paid in full. She worked with me for 2 years. She launched a podcast. She created a business that reached millions of people because I dropped my PowerPoint, right? I had to create a couple of different types of programs for people. I had some corporate people, they wanted to work with me. Like, I just made programs to help teach them the things that I knew because they wanted to work with me because they resonated. That's the real version. And same thing can happen to you. Let me just check. Okay, I think I can see. Yeah. Okay. All right. So, you've probably noticed as the coaching industry has grown that people sound alike, right? But when you're open and honest, people just I get messages and they're like, oh my God, this is exactly what I needed to hear. I've been following all these coaches and they sound like you, or I didn't get the results that I thought I would, but I know that if I do the thing you're talking about, it's just going to work. And, then I wasn't chasing clients. They were coming to me. Why? Because I let them see me. Oh my gosh. Can you guys relate? Have you ever done some of this where you feel like it has to be a certain way? And it's so hard not to be you, right? Like, I had a naturopath, I told you about her yesterday. She was kind of stuck at a revenue ceiling. She was maxed out. She had clients, but she was trading time for money. And she wanted more clients, but she also wanted to do some sort of training or program that would take them through her process, right? But people were just not resonating with that, or I don't think she was even offering it. So I just asked her to tell me about her work, and oh my gosh, she gave me this polished version of optimizing health with a holistic approach that gets to the root cause. And I was like, what? Like, so you're holistic. I got that part, right? And it sounded okay, but when we were just talking, it didn't sound like her. And I was like, why do you do this work? Tell me why you do this work. And she told me her story about her own health and the things she'd experienced, how she was exhausted all the time. She was going to all these different doctors, and they just wanted to prescribe medicine and then prescribe medicine to help with the symptoms for the medicine they prescribed. And then she told me about finally finding someone who listened to her and who drilled down and went deeper. They helped her understand more. Yeah. And so we changed up her messaging. She launched her program. She's doing great. I'll just cut to the chase on her. And because now, she's communicating from who she is. She's sharing her story, and the right people could then find her. Same. Yes, it bombed. Yes, and I hated it. Yes, Amy, Michelle. Yeah, right. And then you feel bad afterwards, like, oh, I just don't get it. I'm just not doing this right. Like, I spent all this time. I suck. Like, our brain starts telling us, remember, don't believe everything you think. It's just that you were misaligned. So here's what I want to ask you. What have you been afraid to say? Not just in your marketing, but maybe even in your life, about your work. Not about other people. This isn't judgy. This isn't like that. It's like, what do you know you do or that you believe that you maybe haven't really talked about? I never told people that I used life purpose numerology in my E-code. When I first started coaching, I would just ask people for their birthday. And I used it so that I could understand them better. And then I would start like saying, we're going to do this. And I was so scared because I thought they would think I was crazy or it would be offensive to certain religions or something. I don't know what I thought. I thought that I should not let people know that I was doing that. But the truth is, when I do these E-code sessions with people, many times they're in tears by the end of the session because they're being seen, and it's so true. And the way your life purpose interacts with your core values and the experience you have, even the way you express yourself, your Enneagram, you can see it all together. And it's like, it's a little overwhelming. People need a minute. It's like, I just need to process this. And the funny thing is, this year I wrote on my dry erase board, lead with the E-code. And it was hard for me to write because I still have a little bit of that, like, I'm not a numerologist. Like, this is I have one book. It's a really good book. But also, like, it's still like, oh, I don't know what people are going to think. Oh, too bad. It's what I think. It's what I believe. And it's about who I'm here to serve. I love to help people go deep into who they are and understand their value and turn it into a business that pays them well and that serves people, transforms life. So what's the thing? Come on, be brave. Let's play. I shared mine. It's your turn. What's the thing that you think, but maybe you don't say it out loud? Maybe it's a belief about the industry that goes against the grain. Or maybe it's something you've learned that, contradicts what everyone else teaches or how they teach it. Maybe it's a truth you've experienced that feels too personal to share. What is it? Maybe it's a way that you do your work that's different. Drop it in the comments if you're brave. Let me see. I feel like I don't even know anymore. Yeah, you do. You still know. It works so much better when you can just speak, right? Yeah. I love that comment. I love it and I don't, Amy. I love that you put it there. I feel like I don't even know anymore. That's what happens because we get so disconnected by trying to follow the rules. And sometimes one of the best things we can do is just call that out. Like, I kept watching, I've had a mastermind since 2008. And I kept watching as the industry grew, these people would launch these masterminds and they were getting massive, like 300 people. That's not a mastermind. Masterminds came from, who was it? Thomas Edison, Gary Firestone, the train guy, I forget his name, coming together and supporting each other in business and creating an environment where one or more mind comes together, a third mind there is, and supporting each other and offering support and feedback and ideas and sometimes money and, helping each other. And you can't create that in a group of 300. And it just kept irritating me. And so I just made a post. And my post said, if your coach is the only one talking in your mastermind of 300 people and 2 people get a 3-minute hot seat, that's not a mastermind, that's a performance. And that post blew up. And I was kind of scared to push post, but I was also not, because I was like, this is ridiculous, right? This is something I believe. And that was 7,000 views in just a couple of hours. A lot of people in my industry, I think, were feeling that too, who've grown. And a lot of people who have invested their money in these kind of programs that don't get them results. It's just a performance, right? So I just shared it. So what is that for you? Sometimes, and I don't like to be an instigator by any means, but sometimes just calling out what you believe calls in people who are like, yes. And then I can talk about my mastermind. I always keep it under 10 people. If I have more than 10, I'll open a new mastermind. But those people, like, it's powerful. It's not just, formulas and checklists. It's relationships. Some of the people in my mastermind have been there like 3 years, many 2 years, one, maybe 10 years. I don't know how long Lisa's been there. A while. But anyway, so what is that for you? Drop it in the comments, maybe. Yeah, that's way too many people, right? And they're charging like $25,000, $30,000. And then they teach people how to make $1 million months. It's like, yeah, I see how you're doing it. But what about what are you teaching the people you're making the $1 million months from? Anyway, I'll stop there. Let's see. But yeah, or just sit with it and think about it. Maybe journal on it. Think about the question, what have I been holding back? And who might you become if you stopped performing? More of yourself. Or if you didn't have to sound a certain way, or you didn't have to fit in a box. What if you could just be yourself? Say what you actually think. Who would that person be? It's fun. Curiosity and spaciousness are my two favorite characteristics when coaching, or even with myself, being curious, like asking these kind of questions. These are the things that we were taught in coaching school. Ask a powerful question that starts with the word what. What would happen if you allowed yourself to be real? And a lot of times the answer is I don't know. And then you just stay with it. Well, what if you did know? Let's just pretend you do know. Now tell me that. Right? These are coaching tools, right? Curiosity and spaciousness, giving people the space to explore. I don't know most people don't know what they want because they're so busy protecting themselves from what they don't want that they forget what they ever wanted in the first place. So we need powerful questions. We need to ask ourselves powerful questions, and to be asked by another person, a good coach, a powerful question, life-changing. One question. You'll hear it. People say, oh, that's a good question. Yeah. What they're really saying is, I have never thought of it before. So let's play that with you. Who would that person be? How would she talk? What would she say? How would she show up? Just imagine that for a second. Because that version of you lives. She's just suppressed. What if you could just be that person? Amy, I was journaling today and I am putting programs to save myself and to save them. That's not authenticity. The program is, but the energy behind it isn't. Not sure how to get aligned and out of the lack, save, hope, and pray energy. Amy, yes, such great awareness. I'm so glad that you're in Expressed because we're going to talk about all of this. And you're not alone. There's so many people, talented, gifted, amazing people who are so needed in the world, who get into this pattern. We're going to do some pattern language work inside of the program. Yeah. So here's my question for you. Let's play with this. Because a lot of times, what I was just saying, right? We don't know what we want. We know what we don't want. So here's the trick for that. Just let what you don't want point you towards what you do want. So I always have this image when I talk about this. Have you guys ever gone rafting? I live in the Pacific Northwest, And I grew up rafting on rivers. We would just, I started as a kid. We'd take my dad's tire inner tube and just go to the river and see where we got out. And then we started going on like real rafts, and they can be pretty intense. So there'd be a guide, and what the guide would say, I still remember to this day, this guy sitting at the front of this rubber raft and going, boulder, right? Boulder. Something is beeping. Row right, row right. And so what I think of about that is that he was saying there's something we don't want. Interference. Everybody go this way, right? But what we do in our life is we look at what we don't want and we try to protect ourselves from it. Oh, we should get out of the raft. Let's go to the shore. But what about what you do want? What if it's just there to show you what you do want? Oh, we just want to go around. So don't stop. When you see, Amy, back to what you're saying, like, what would it be? What if there isn't a how to get out of the energy that you're expressing or explaining here? What if you just got super curious about aligned Amy? And aligned Amy doesn't have lack or has to save anybody. Hope, hope and pray. Write about her in your journal. Who's she? What's she like? Because she exists, or she wouldn't be here talking about this, right? Okay, so here's what I know for sure from doing this work for so many years. When you express yourself fully, your business changes. I'm not saying it's going to be overnight. I'm not going to say it's magically, but it is a little bit magical because you're magical. Like it's the magic of you, but it changes because suddenly the right people can find you and they can see you and they can recognize themselves in what you're saying. And they'll say things like, oh, that's for me. That's what I need. That's what I want. That's what I've been looking for. I've seen it over and over when one of my clients finally says the real thing. And you can feel it. Like we do this at our mastermind retreats. It's like, oh, damn, there she is. That is power right there, right? You can feel it. And then suddenly their ideal client starts showing up because they're looking for somebody who thinks like that. Someone who believes like that, someone who's willing to say the thing that they're not hearing anywhere. And there's data on this too. What was that study? Edelman, I think it's called, found that over 80% of consumers say they have to trust a brand before they buy. And so what builds trust? We already talked about the other study, right? Authenticity, consistency for sure, being yourself, not performing. And when you stop performing and you start expressing yourself, you get your energy back. So there's some answer right there for you, Amy, on what you were saying. Like really start expressing. And all of a sudden you're like, whew, I feel energy. Like after you write a post or you go live or you speak or whatever you're doing, right? You do a video. And you can feel it. You're like, ooh, it gives you energy. It feeds you because performing is exhausting. Trying to be someone you're not is exhausting. Monitoring what you say, how you say it. Is this professional enough? Is this, polished enough? That is draining. But just being yourself, that is sustainable. That is how I've had my business for over 20 years and watched many people come and go, burn out, make their millions off of people they didn't deliver any outcome to and leave. I mean, I've seen the things. But when it's you, that's where your power is. That's where you can show up every single day without burning out. That message that you came here to share, someone needs to hear it. Someone out there, I don't know who, you might not know them, but someone out there is waiting for you, for what you have to say, for the way you see things. And when you finally express it, they'll find you. And you might be thinking, if you're like me, when I was going through this, that sounds great, but I'm scared. What if I say the real thing and nobody likes it? Or what if I lose clients? What if I lose followers? What if people judge me? What if I piss off my family? Good. I want you to feel scared because it means you're up to something real. Fear shows up when you're about to do something that matters. I mean, it shows up in other ways too. But what if the fear that you experience is there to show you that you're about to do something that matters because it's important to you? What if it's actually not fear at all? Do you know that fear and excitement are the exact same vibration? The only difference between the two is your perception of the energy. You might want to write that down. Fear and excitement are the exact same vibration. The only difference is your perception of the energy you're feeling. So feel the fear. Ask yourself, what if I'm actually just excited? And then say the thing. Okay, tomorrow on day 3, we're going to get practical. We're going to talk about how to communicate when you're really being yourself, how to enroll clients when you're expressing your truth, how to get paid for being you. But it all starts here with permission. Permission to stop performing, permission to start expressing, permission to be you. And if you're feeling this and you want to go deeper, Express starts Thursday. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to discover your E-code, core values, opportunities, destiny, energy, personality style. And then I have my E-code prompts. We're going to feed it into AI to reflect back your essence. And then we're going to talk about your messaging. And we're going to practice expressing that every week for 4 weeks. So you're not just learning how to communicate better, you will communicate better. You're going to learn how to express who you actually are. And when the right clients hear that, they're going to come to you. So it's 4 weeks, live weekly on Zoom, replays. We have a Telegram group. Everything's going to be in there. And then I'm dropping prompts. I don't know. We'll see how much you guys need. Probably at least 3 times a week, maybe more. I probably might do a couple rants. I'm known for my Patty rants when I'm struck to share things with you that I feel will help. So DM me Express if you want the details. But whether you want to join that or not, show up for tomorrow, day 3, and we're going to tie this all up. Let me see what we've got. Oh, here, let me see. What came up when I was thinking, aligned, Amy, lost themselves in all the chaos. That's me right now. And many other people are probably feeling that too. Yes, that might be the message I carry through these next few weeks. Good work, Amy. I have chills. Look, you did the thing. You took it one step further. You went around the boulder, right? Past, well, here's what's not working to, okay, I love these road signs, I like to call them. big curve ahead, turn, like slow down, on the highways. 15-mile big curve. It's like, yeah, it's just like keep going. They're just directing you. So you did that. And then right there inside you already existed your answer. That's how it works. I'm so excited for you. All right. I'll be back tomorrow. And we start on Thursday. If anybody wants to join, I'll drop the link in here too. You can DM me, but we'll also put the link for Expressed if you'd like to join. And as always, remember, be real, take a stand, and change lives. Bye for now.